Hello, I'm Chris Fuller, and this is a Millennials point of view. You might be wondering why I'm dressed up today. Well, we're celebrating the end of the decade with a recap of the best games from this decade. Now, this is actually a podcast featuring myself and my one buddy from school, Nick Kryzon. We did this podcast a little while ago, but I figured I'd save it for the big day on New Year's Eve. So I wanted to just talk to you guys a little bit beforehand because this is a little bit of a longer episode, longer than what you're used to. So definitely take that time to sit down, relax, maybe grab one of your favorite drinks and enjoy the show. There won't be any gameplay for this video. It'll just be one static picture because it would take so much time to actually find the gameplay for every single game that we talk about, because we talk about a lot of games from this past decade. We wanted to get as much in as we could. An honorable mention to Dragon Quest XI. That game is really good. I just had not played it before we actually recorded the podcast, so I wanted to make sure to mention that game as one of the best games of the decade, maybe even the best RPG of the decade. But anyways, guys, let's get into the actual podcast. I hope you enjoy it, and if you stick around to the end, I'll give you another little message. Either way, have a good 2020, and I'll see you at the end of the video.
Welcome to a special episode of the Best Games You Never Played podcast. Today, we're doing something a little different. We're just going to talk about some of the best games of the decade.
That's right, Nick. Today, we're talking about our favorite games of the decades. We actually made 3 lists. Some of my favorites, some of Nick's favorites, and some that we both agree on. And at the very end, we're going to compile all 3 and figure out the 10 games that we think deserve to be on that list of the 10 best games of the decade.
All right, Chris, why don't you start us off?
All right. Now, keep in mind, for those of you listening, these lists that we made, all 4 of them, they're in no particular order. So they're just really the games that we really do like. So the first game I have on here is Persona 5 for the PS4. Now, this is probably the best JRPG of the decade, in my opinion. I know that you really aren't super familiar with the Persona series.
I'm not the biggest fan of JRPGs, but I can still understand why people really like this game.
Oh yeah, the art style is out of this world. It might have the best art style out of any game I've ever played, to be honest. It just goes with the world so well, and like even the transitions in the menus, like from one to the next, it's really amazing to look at.
And it's definitely an improvement on Persona 4 by the looks of it.
Oh yeah, I agree with that. The story is more interesting overall. I do love Persona, like all the Persona games, but Persona 5 is incredible. The combat system's super engaging, you know, where you get your enemy's weakness and they go down. It keeps you like invested, kind of thinking about what you're going to use. And then, you know, the optional stuff that you can do with it, all the dating sims and all the characters are super interesting. The dating sim aspect is probably my favorite part of the series, to be honest. And just building those social links with your characters or confidants in this one. And then, you know, the dungeons are fun. The music, incredible. One of the best soundtracks ever.
Soundtrack is really good.
Yeah. And, you know, do you have any opinions on the soundtrack?
I think it's really good. I like the like jazz fusion that's in it.
Yeah, there's definitely a uniqueness to it, for sure. But yeah, other than the ending of the game kind of dragging on for me a little bit, there really weren't any major flaws with this game.
Isn't the end like 100 level dungeon?
No, I think you might be thinking of Persona 3 for that one.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, because that one, they're all a little bit different. But it is kind of like a Clement Tower, but it's not like 100 levels or anything like that. It just kind of goes on a little bit longer, overstays its welcome a little bit. But it is a 100+ hour game if you get the good ending. So for a game to be 100 hours and for me to not really get sick of it, or at least get kind of, all right, I'm ready for this game to be over until like hour 90, that's pretty high volume right there. But yeah, we can go into your first game that you got.
All right. The first game that I picked out was Batman Arkham City. Came out in 2011, I believe.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I've never played any Batman games before.
Oh, they are fantastic. It started with Arkham Asylum. It just felt like a more mature version of an episode of the Batman animated series,
which I haven't seen as well.
And it has a lot of the veteran voice actors from that series also, which really helps. And it was even written by the main writer of the show.
See, I didn't know that. That's actually really cool.
Yeah, so the animated series is critically acclaimed. So the fact that you got all this talent from that show into the game is pretty mind-blowing.
Yeah, and I've heard great things about the series. It's one that I definitely need to get into. I have all three, actually, or 3 on the 360. And, I do like Batman. I love the Christopher Nolan movies and the 80s one. But I haven't really experienced too much other than the movies, to be honest.
Yeah, Kevin Conroy plays a great Batman, and Mark Hamill plays a great Joker. But the thing with the second game in the series, Arkham City, is that they took what was great about the first game and improved on it. So the action, the fighting mechanics were good in Arkham Asylum, but there was a little bit that was a little clunky, But
Okay.
they smoothed out all the rough edges in this game and made the story more grand. You're actually now in a sectioned off part of Gotham that's called Arkham City.
Okay, so they made it a lot bigger, too.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool. Yeah, I know that a lot of games took a lot of inspiration from the Batman games, specifically in the combat system.
Yeah.
It was a pretty big thing, like in Assassin's Creed and a few other games, too, where it's just like parry, counter kind of thing.
Yeah, it was a game that allowed you to just, freely flow through combat. And that was a lot of fun.
Yeah, and it's definitely saying something if so many of the open world third-person games kind of copy its style in a certain way.
And it also had good stealth portions, too, because when you're in the stealth portions, you can't just go running in there, or else you'll just get dead pretty easily. So you got to kind of think like you're Batman.
Yeah, no, I know that's hard to do, too, because I know either a game's really good at stealth and has action, kind of like, not all of them, but a lot of the Metal Gear Solid games, at least in my opinion. Or they have really good action and like stealth, and I can't really think of examples, but I know that it does happen a lot, and I've played games where it's like a whole stealth mission kind of thing, you know what I mean? For sure.
So now that I'm done fangirling over Batman, do you want to talk about the next game on your list?
Yeah, the next game on my list is Red Dead Redemption, the first one, not the second one.
That's controversial right there.
Yeah, I started the second one. I wasn't super into it just because like some of the stuff they added they added just for the game world to seem more realistic, but for me it was just like the kind of thing where I wasn't super into it, and it made everything take forever, like skinning animals, picking up every individual item instead of having like a pick up all.
Yeah, it's just more busy work.
Yeah, that stuff felt pretty regressive to me, to be honest. And I do know a decent amount about the game, though, because my roommate is obsessed with it, and he's played like 150, 200 hours on it. So I've seen a lot of what there is to do, and it does seem like a good game.
So why the first one instead of the second one?
For me, I loved the first one. I got super into it, probably during senior year of high school. I got super into it, and I think the biggest reason why I got way more into Red Dead 1 over 2 was because of the fact that it kind of launched you into it. You were right in there right then, and things didn't take a bunch of time, and it didn't feel like I was wasting my time playing the game. I was just exploring and kind of going out in the Wild West and having a good time right away kind of thing.
Yeah.
And then
that was the main problem I had with like Rockstar games in general, is that they take too long to get into.
Yeah, and like Red Dead 1 was about 20 hours or so. And from what I see on How Long to Beat, Red Dead 2 is like 50. So, like I said before with Persona, any game holding your attention for that amount of time is a super hard thing to do. And it's not like a slight on Rockstar because I don't like Red Dead 2 as much as 1. It's just that I think the 20-hour package of Red Dead 2, and maybe a little bit more with all the side stuff, is just so condensed, and there's so much pure goodness in it instead of like having some good parts and then some parts, or you know what I mean, that kind of stuff, where the good outweighs so much more of the bad in the first one. And with the first one, it doesn't feel like as free with the missions, because it's like go here, do that, go here, do that. And there's no variables, but with the first one, there's some variables with the missions and things like that as well. You can kind of do things how you want to, and I think that's kind of a weird design choice to make the second one, where it's so strict on how you do certain missions, and GTA 5 was like that as well. So it's kind of like they took some things away to add some different things, and I didn't necessarily like what they added to the second one.
That makes sense.
Yeah. But that's pretty much all I have to say about Red Dead 2, besides the ending is incredible. One of the best endings I think I've ever played of any video game. And for anyone that likes the second one a lot, I really encourage you to go back to the first one and see what it's like. But yeah, Nick, you want to go into your second game on your list?
All right, so the second game on my list is Mass Effect 2. Of course, Mass Effect series was massive in the early 2010s. It's basically a space opera in a video game.
Is it all like Star Wars? Because this is another one I haven't really played.
It's very similar to the Star Wars universe.
Okay.
I mean, there's not people running around with lightsabers or anything.
Yeah.
But the first game was okay. I thought it was good for storytelling. It's really good. The gameplay, though, not so much. But you play as Commander Shepard. You have your own ship and your own crew. And in the first game, you go around exploring the entire universe. And you're trying to fight these things called the Reapers, which come every 1,000 years or so to destroy humanity.
Okay.
So the first game is all about trying to stop them by killing one of their leaders. The second game is basically you building your army to fight the Reapers. And the fun thing about it is that you meet so many engaging characters. Maybe a little too many, because out of the 40 hours, you spend 30 of them making friends.
Oh, really?
And with every friend that you make, there's a side quest. So there's a lot of content just in making friends in that game, or getting more companions.
Okay, that sounds pretty interesting. I know that this game had something with the save files where you could take your stuff from the first one and go to the second.
So
and
yeah,
third. So you want to tell me a little bit about that?
So you have options in the first game of what you can do and people that you can save. And let's say there's a character named Ashley something. She can die in the first one. She also can live in the first one. And if she lives in the first one, she'll be in the second game. But if she dies in that one, she'll still be dead in the second, which is pretty cool.
Yeah, that's interesting. There's not too many games that do that kind of stuff with multiple games, so they kind of plan it out like that.
Yeah, but the only way for that to work is if you play them all on the same console. Other than that, you'll just get a preset saved file.
Yeah, so there's alternate kind of thing, and then there's the canon version of things.
Well, everything's canon technically in that game. There's so much stuff in there for every character.
Yeah.
And so many alternate dialogues for each character depending on the choices that you make.
Okay.
You could be a good guy or a bad guy. So yeah, I spent a lot of time on that back in the day. The third one's not as good, but
yeah, I hear that a lot online.
The second one was the peak.
Yeah, it's definitely another series I really need to get into and give it a shot. But I guess I'll go into my next game if you're done talking about that one.
All right.
For my next game is Bayonetta 2. Now, just like what Nick said with the Batman Arkham City, Bayonetta 2 takes everything that Bayonetta 1 did really well. And I do like Bayonetta 1. It's a good game. But it takes everything that Bayonetta 1 did and just makes it better. The combat, so much faster than Bayonetta 1. And then, the story continues. You wouldn't think that a beat-em-up or a 3D hack and slasher kind of has a story. But Bayonetta's story, not the best thing in the world, but it is interesting. And it does pick up right where the other one left off. Yeah. And it does make me excited for Bayonetta 3 because it does kind of end on a cliffhanger there.
Whenever that will come out.
Yeah, we'll see on that one. But going back to Bayonetta 2, they kind of changed the color. Almost the same with Persona, where Persona 3 is blue is the main theme color. Persona 4, yellow. 5 is red. with this one, it goes from red to blue, and I just think that the blue, kind of contrasting with like the white of the angels that you're fighting and things like that, looks really good. You know, the hardware difference between 1 and 2 isn't that super different. They're similar hardware, but the game looks a lot better because of that art style change for sure.
Yeah. I haven't really played much of Bayonetta. I've played a little bit of the first and a little bit of the second.
Yeah.
But I think because of my experience with the first, I never really full on went to get the second.
Okay.
So I had the Xbox version of Bayonetta, and it didn't run very well.
I was gonna say that I think that one was a little glitchy.
Yeah. So I don't know why I didn't give it a second chance. I probably should try. Although if I do, I want to pick it up on the Switch.
Yeah, that's what I have. I didn't play them until the Switch one came out.
Oh.
And I'm really glad that I did, because it's a great series. If you are someone that likes like DMC, you'll probably really enjoy Bayonetta because it's similar but kind of more actiony, more fast paced. If you can believe that. I don't know if you played the DMC.
A little bit more risque.
Yeah, that's for sure. It is definitely a little bit more risky, especially for a Nintendo game. It's crazy to see that in a Nintendo game. But yeah, definitely give Bayonetta 2 a shot if you haven't already.
So the next game on my list, there's kind of a theme here going, but the next game is Super Mario Galaxy 2.
Okay.
Look at me and the sequels over here.
So yeah, I've played a little bit of 1 and 2. Same thing with you and Bayonetta, where it's like you've played just a little bit here and there, but not super full into it yet.
Yeah.
Kind of thing.
This is a game that I actually 100%ed, because even though it's very similar to even though it's very similar to Super Mario Galaxy 1, they made it so that a lot of the levels didn't require a lot of 3D movement around these globes, you know?
Yeah, that kind of turned me off in the first one.
In the first game, that was like in every level.
Yeah, it was a little weird.
But the second one got rid of that a little bit. They still had it, but they focused more on like flying from island to island, you know, in a galaxy.
And it was like more so the pure platforming kind of thing.
Yeah, it focused more on platforming, and they brought in Yoshi, which was a lot of fun.
Yeah, that looks awesome.
And same with like the Arkham games and Mass Effect. The sequel took what was good from the first game and made it better. You know, this one had more levels. It had more replayability because once you get all 120 stars, there are 120 green stars to collect, and they're hidden within every level.
Okay, so it's not like an objective thing anymore?
No.
It's interesting.
And the only way to get to the real final level is to find everything.
Yeah.
All the star coins, stars, and green stars.
That's something I love about the Mario games, especially as of late, where it's like, if you want the true final level, you got to do all the stuff, and that's just super fun to do to me, because any Mario game really that you get into, you want to spend as much time as you can playing it, because it's such a great game.
Yeah.
For sure.
It had a remake of the of one of the levels from Mario 64.
Oh, really?
Swamp Fortress.
Oh, yeah, no, I remember seeing that online.
It completely remade that level, and it was so much fun.
Yeah, that looks like it would be real fun. It sounds like I need to just skip Mario Galaxy 1, because I've tried that out.
There's some good stuff in there, but I would say 2 is the better game.
Yeah, no, it's just that I've tried 1, and I didn't get super into it. I didn't dislike it. It's just that some things kind of rubbed me the wrong way here and there.
Yeah.
With you mentioned with the planets and stuff, it was just a little weird to get used to.
Also, most of the soundtrack is fully orchestral.
Yeah, yeah.
And I really appreciate that.
Yeah, it does sound incredible, for sure.
I prefer that to just some guy sitting at a computer putting, you know, all these MIDI tracks together.
Yeah, it's just something to hear, for sure. But my next game is a little bit different. It's Call of Duty Black Ops 1. Now, I almost felt obligated to put this game on the list just because of how much time back in middle school when it was new I put into this game for hundreds of hours online.
Yeah, while you were playing this game, I was still playing Modern Warfare 2.
Yeah, I have so many good memories with this game, playing online with my friends and getting the DLC. And one funny story was the first DLC pack had like a zipline thing.
Yeah.
And you could do the game mode Sticks and Stones, where one of the things you could throw a hatchet and their points would go back to 0. And there was like 2 seconds or like 10 seconds left or something, and my friend went down the zip line. He's like, "Hey, what's this?" And I knew that he was talking about it, and he was in the lead and I was in second. So I like looked for him up there, and then I aimed my my hatchet and like threw it at him, and it got him down to 0, and it was so funny. Nice. He was so pissed. That's probably one of my favorite memories with the game. But yeah, it was just a really fun game to play online with friends during like, I guess, middle school, my more formative years, where it just kind of felt that sense of community. And to give credit where credit is due, it is one of the few shooters that I ever really got into back in the day. And I'm not super into shooters that much anymore. So
yeah, that was also back when I was super into Halo instead of Call of Duty, so I kind of missed out on this game.
Yeah, it's definitely understandable, but Black Ops 1 definitely gets on my personal contender or my personal list for some of my favorite games of the decade because of just how much time I put into it, and I do have a lot of really fun memories with it for sure. But for you, what was another game that you would put on there?
So the next game on my list is a game called The Last of Us that was on the PlayStation 3. It was remastered on the PlayStation 4. I have both. That's how much I like it.
Yeah, I actually have the remastered one myself.
I've never played a game that made me feel so bad on the inside in the first 20 minutes and then made me want to keep playing.
That opening is rough.
Yeah. I don't want to spoil anything because that game's definitely worth going out. Even if you just like watch the cutscenes,
yeah,
it's definitely worth it because the acting in that game is so good. Troy Baker as Joel, and I don't know the woman's name that plays Ellie, but she does a great job too.
Yeah, the story in the game is absolutely fantastic, and this is the first game on your list that I've actually played as well. The reason why it didn't make the both list for me was that the story was great, but the gameplay was a little bit clunky in comparison to some other
I thought the
action games.
The gameplay, although it was clunky, I feel like it fit within the game itself. You're in kind of like this post-apocalypse where these people are infected, and everything's awful, and you just play as a normal guy. You're not playing as like a Marine or anything. You're just playing as a guy that's tough, so you're not gonna be perfect with your shooting, you're not gonna be the best fighter, and I think the gameplay reflected that very well.
Yeah, just coming from the Uncharted series, for me, it just was a little bit slower, but I get what you're saying there, where it was an intentional thing for sure, and they did that on purpose. But it just, like I said, I really enjoyed the game too, and the story. It wasn't quite as fun for me as those games were. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. It's more of an experience instead of just like sitting down and being like, haha, yeah, games are fun.
Yeah, no, it's definitely one of the games that I would argue games are art, and that would be one of the games that would show up on that list, where it's like, look at this should be held at the same level as movies or books and that kind of thing.
Yeah.
So I could definitely see why you put it on your list for sure.
And well, that's all I gotta say about Last of Us. What do you got next on your list?
For my next one is Fallout New Vegas. Fallout New Vegas is my second favorite Bethesda game behind Fallout 3. Now, Fallout 3 I do like a little bit better, but it didn't come out in this decade, so had to go with New Vegas. But that's okay, because New Vegas, Fallout 3 is just a little bit better than Fallout New Vegas in my eyes.
It's the same engine.
Yeah, exactly. Same gameplay. The only difference is the world, and what you're doing in it, kind of thing.
You're over in the Mojave Wasteland, over there towards Vegas.
And the thing I love about both of these games, really, is just the amount of freedom that you have. It, in my opinion, is like not super overwhelming like some open world games, but it's enough to where it's like, wow, there's a lot I can do. Let's kind of go and explore things. And I love finding all the markers on the map and just finding every little area in it and kind of trying to do all the quests. And it's one of those few open world games where I'm like, I want to do everything.
Yeah, I think the only thing that holds that game back is the factions.
Yeah, no, the faction system's kind of dumb. It's the main reason I like 3 better than New Vegas.
Yeah, same. But when New Vegas first came out, I played it for a few hours and then quit.
Mm-hmm.
And it would take me like 5 or 6 years before I tried it again.
Yeah.
And I loved it when I tried it again. I had all the DLC for it.
Oh, the DLC is incredible in this one.
Yeah, the DLC is great.
Yeah.
But yeah, actually the DLC I would say is better than 3's.
Yeah, 3's DLC is definitely lesser than New Vegas's DLC.
But the main game, Fallout New Vegas, I would say is a little better.
Yeah. But yeah, it's super fun to explore, find all the different characters in the world. There's so much, even though it's a wasteland, there's so much character to all the people in the world.
Yeah.
That it makes it like fun, like I said, fun to explore everything, and it's just one of those games that's like, oh, I love it so much kind of thing, you know. But yeah, that's pretty much all I had to say about New Vegas. So you want to go to your next one?
All right, my next one is the newest entry in the Legend of Zelda series, not counting Link's Awakening. That's a remake.
I was gonna say
Breath of the Wild on Switch and Wii U if you're one of those people.
One of those people.
But so this Zelda game kind of breaks the tradition. It goes back to its roots, you know, where you can go anywhere, explore everywhere, and you can even go to the final boss and get destroyed in the first like 20 minutes, which is super cool to me. Although I'm one of those guys that, you know, wants to do everything before going to the final boss so you can absolutely destroy them.
Okay.
And so far, I haven't beaten it yet, but so far it's been an amazing time. Just being able to just adventure.
See, I'm surprised you haven't beaten it yet. I've actually beaten the game before, but it wasn't on my list because I did think Link's Awakening was better, actually. But that's because mainly it was the first time I ever played it, so I guess it's kind of new to me, kind of thing. But I didn't put Link's Awakening on my list either. Not because it's not a great game, I just don't think it's quite up there. Yeah. You know what I mean? But I do think Breath of the Wild is really, really good. There's just a few little nitpicks I have with it that keep it from being on my list. Like, you know, the rain. You can't do anything in rain, and there's no equipment you can get to be able to climb or anything, which I think would be a nice addition. The weapon degradation isn't a bad idea, but I think your weapons go out a little bit too fast for my liking, for sure.
I think it's all right. Like, it depends on what you're using.
Yeah, for sure. But I just think sometimes, not all the time, but sometimes the game almost punishes you for playing it in certain aspects, which kind of turns me off to it a little bit. But I mean, I liked it enough to beat it, and it is a super long game as well.
Yeah, and I like that it does have the, you know, the system where, what did you call it, degradation?
Yeah, weapon degradation.
Yeah, degradation. I like it because it encourages you to find better stuff, which you can. You can find stuff that doesn't break.
Yeah, you can definitely find some things that last a lot longer. But the only thing that I mean, it's not a bad idea. It's just that I think it was a little bit implemented a little bit poorly.
Yeah. And I really like the cooking system.
Oh, that's fun. That's a good system for sure.
I like, you know, finding all the parts of the map. I like finding the Korok seeds. Like, I feel like I'm actually adventuring, you know, and exploring. Yeah,
it definitely does give you a lot, like almost an unlimited tool set of what you can do. And the fact that you can climb everything is fantastic. Yeah. It really is. And you just feel that level of freedom that
it's like
no other game really has.
A true open world game.
Yeah, exactly. And the fact that you can go to the final boss right away and beat it if you're good enough, then that's amazing. I mean, I've seen people beat this game in like 20 minutes. So just having that as an option is pretty awesome in its own right.
Yeah. So we just got done talking about Breath of the Wild. So, Chris, why don't we talk about the next game on your list?
The next game on my list is probably my favorite 2D game of the decade, and that would be Rayman Legends.
That's some high praise.
Oh, I absolutely love this game. The art style, fantastic. I don't know if you've seen it or not.
Yeah, I have the game.
Oh, okay. It looks like a storybook almost kind of thing.
It's a lot of fun.
Oh, yeah. And it's really fun by yourself and co-op. Like, the fact that you can do all the things co-op is amazing to me.
It's a little frustrating with co-op.
If you have just two people, I think it's fine. But for me at least, me and my brother played through it. I mean, you can hit each other, but it's not like New Super Mario Brothers where you really can get in each other's way with that one.
Oh yeah.
It's not quite that bad.
Although I like messing with people on that one.
Yeah. See, no, me and my brother were like, we'll mess with each other maybe a little bit at the beginning, but we're all business usually when it comes to those kind of co-op games.
I'm kind of the opposite.
Yeah, no, that's how I've always been. I'm like, let's do this kind of thing. I want to play the game, not mess around too much. But yeah, to each his own on that one. But yeah, no, we played through Origins and Legends together, and that's some of the best gaming memories with my brother for sure. Is playing the Rayman games with him. Just so much. The level design, incredible.
Oh yeah, yeah,
so good. All the levels are super varied.
And they're super creative too.
Oh yeah, like some levels you'll be shrunken down in a cake or something, and then other levels you'll be going through the sea, which is pretty generic, but most of the levels are pretty unique.
Yeah.
And going on the uniqueness of the levels is like the music levels.
Oh yeah.
There's the highlight of the game for me. Being able to play a level where if you're doing good in the level, the movements and the sound effects of hitting enemies and jumping and all that stuff lines up with the music is just something that is so kind of like satisfying. It's so satisfying to be able to do that.
The first one I believe is where they take Black Betty by Ram Jam and make it. They remake the song, and then they design the level around that song, which is pretty creative.
Yeah, no, I absolutely love that aspect of the game.
It's like a rhythm game, but platforming.
Yeah, exactly. And I think if they made another one, which who knows, kind of thing, it would be awesome to bring that back and have even more of them, kind of thing.
Yeah.
Because it's such a unique aspect. And I never played any game that kind of has that rhythm to it, other than, like you said, rhythm games. But being a platformer and having that, it's so much fun. And not to mention all the other levels in the game are really good too.
Oh, yeah.
And all the other music's great. It's just overall great package.
Rayman Legends, what did you play it on?
I played it on PS3.
Oh, okay. So on the Switch is how I played it.
Okay.
They came out with Rayman Legends Definitive Edition. Yeah. And the Definitive Edition has every level from Rayman Origins in it also.
I actually have that too. I haven't really played around with it too much though.
Yeah, I really like Origins, but Legends is definitely a little better.
Oh yeah, and then having that Definitive Edition, there's no question, of course.
Again, with the sequels.
Yeah, no. Video game sequels are like the opposite of movies, where movie sequels usually aren't as good, but video game sequels, like 8 out of 10 times, it's usually better.
Yeah.
For sure. And one little memory that I have with this game, it's actually the first game I ever bought while I was working at GameStop, so that's kind of a good memory with it too, yeah. Right after I started, it came out, and I'm like, oh, I really want this game. So it was just a good memory there as well. But I guess since I have a couple more on my list than you, I can go into my next one.
Yeah, go into your next one.
All right. My next one is Bloodborne. Now, I prefer this over all the Souls games. I've played all the other Souls games, but I haven't beaten them. And Bloodborne's the only one I've ever beaten. So there's definitely that. It's just a lot more fast-paced than the Souls games, but they're very similar in the gameplay.
It punishes you just as much, though.
Oh, yeah. It's still super hard. But I just think I like the gameplay loop a lot in Bloodborne, where you kind of go to a new bonfire and then, or I guess lantern in this game is what they're called. You go to a new lantern, you kind of explore an area, find it, and then it kind of unlocks a path to the beginning, and you're kind of almost circling around to the beginning and finding shortcuts to each new area that you go to. So you start off, you go to a new area, it takes a while, but then you find the shortcut and you can just go right there. Yeah. And I like that progression.
I can understand why people would like these games, but I'm not the biggest fan of these extremely difficult games. I think they're a little too difficult for my liking.
Yeah, they're definitely the kind of games where it's like you got to sit down, concentrate on nothing else, don't have a YouTube video playing or anything, and just be like, I am going to beat this boss today. I feel that same way about like Cuphead too, where it's like I feel good about the progression in the game where it's like all right, today I'm going to beat a boss and then call it a day kind of thing.
Yeah, but I like the gameplay of Cuphead a little bit more, but I like that comparison.
Yeah, no, it's definitely that for me. And I do enjoy the world and the lore of it all, and just exploring is fun, but it's more
the
so
gross monsters.
Yeah, no. The design, even though it's a little bit graphic and gory, it's still super enjoyable. And like I said before, just that progression of beating a boss, calling it a day, and feel like you're really moving forward in the game is something I enjoy a lot. So yeah, if that's all I gotta say about Bloodborne. You want to go into your next one?
All right, the next game on my list is the God of War for PlayStation 4, not the old God of War.
Yeah, no, I played this one a little bit. I haven't beaten it yet though.
So I really like the God of War series. I played 1, 2, and 3. I skipped the PlayStation Portable ones and the Ascension, which no one really liked.
Yeah, no one played Ascensions.
But they kind of rebooted the series. It was the soft reboot. Like they kept all the story from the older ones, but they kind of changed how you play the game. They changed how Kratos acts because he has a kid now.
Yeah.
He's a parent, so he's not going to be just angry and screaming all the time like in the old games.
Yeah.
He's more laid back in this one, but he can still get rough.
Yeah, no, I think that's really cool that they did that because, like we said, no one really played Ascensions, and the God of War series was definitely on a decline as far as sales go and popularity and relevance, I'd argue, as well.
Yeah.
So being able to see that and then take it to where they can make it a completely different genre almost, like a completely different game.
Yeah.
And make it work and make it something that people go absolutely insane for. People love this game.
Yeah, I mean, it's still like a hack and slash, but they added elements of strategy to it.
Oh, yeah, and they slowed it down a lot.
Yeah, like in the old games, you can just go and slash at everyone, like no problem.
The old ones play a lot like Devil May Cry.
Yeah, but this one, you can start slashing, but, your slashes might not work. You might have to use your son for distraction. You might have to use different moves that you unlock, stuff like that.
Yeah, and it's definitely one that again, another game that I have on the back burner that I definitely need to play. And I think the thing that interests me the most about the game is the fact that you can upgrade your skills in this and like kind of unlock the map, and
it has like elements of RPGs.
Yeah, they added
really nice.
RPG elements, which is something I really like because I'm a big RPG guy for sure.
So I think that's all I got for God of War. Do you want to talk about your next one?
All right, my next one is Tekken Tag Tournament 2. This plays a lot like Tekken 7.
It plays a lot like anything past Tekken 4.
Anything past Tekken 3, really. Tekken 4 is actually kind of unique. They changed things up for that one, but then they kind of brought it back to how Tekken 3 is. At least from my experiences. I'm a big Tekken guy. I've played all the games in the series. One of my favorite fighting game series, for sure. But, yeah, Tekken Tag 2, it does play a lot like Tekken 7, but I think that that's a solid base. Or I guess it plays a lot like Tekken 6 because that was before it. But either way, that's a solid base to where the gameplay is super fast-paced and satisfying for a fighting game. But that tag system, I absolutely love it. I think it adds a whole new dynamic to it. The fact, because like Marvel vs. Capcom, it has tag, but for that one you need to beat both of the characters or all three of the characters to win. But for Tekken Tag, you just need to beat one. So if you can get someone in like a combo, and where they're stuck and they can't like tag out, you can get someone on like one health bar instead of two. And I think that aspect of it really makes me like the tag system a lot more than in other games that have tag systems.
Yeah, I kind of like the tag system of Marvel vs. Capcom where you have to beat all everyone. But I get your point that you're making with Tekken there.
Yeah, like almost rewarding you for
trouncing
someone kind of thing. And I think that not adrenaline, but like that rush of like, oh, I think I can do it. I think I can get this combo off where I get them stuck and make them waste a character essentially. That's the aspect of it I like a lot. And I do love the Tekken series, and I love all the characters. Maybe not all of them.
And this one had a lot of characters.
Yeah, they brought back a bunch of characters in the past, and not a bunch of DLC like in Tekken 7. That kind of stuff annoys me with fighting games because it feels like more so than any other game genre, you almost have to buy all the DLC with fighting games to get the complete package.
Like the last time I did that was with Injustice 2. I bought the season pass and I haven't even played those characters.
Yeah, no, it's super annoying when fighting games have DLC, which is another reason why I put Tekken Tag 2 above Tekken 7. Not that that's not a really good game, but the DLC does turn me off for sure. The only fighting game I like with DLC is Smash, but that's because it's like, oh, new character from a new franchise. That that excitement.
That and it's reasonably priced.
Yeah, it's not super expensive like some of these can be. But getting off of that topic of discussion, I just think Tekken Tag 2 is Tekken perfected in my eyes, and that's why it's definitely on my list for one of my favorite games of the decade. And then going right into my next one, because I do have a few extras, would be Fire Emblem 3 Houses. Now, this is the greatest turn-based strategy game ever made.
I'm gonna disagree with that. Mainly, well, I don't really like turn-based strategy, but I'm gonna say Paper Mario, Thousand Year Door is.
See, that's a turn-based like fighting, but I'm talking about where you're on a grid.
Oh,
yeah,
okay.
And you're like moving your units, that kind of turn-based. That's what I mean by that.
Yeah, then I don't have any input on that one.
Yeah, no, because I do love that genre, especially the intelligent systems games like other Fire Emblems and Advance Wars and all that. But Fire Emblem 3 Houses, it has the gameplay that I love in the turn-based strategy, where it's the maps and you got to really think, and if you don't want your units to die, and you have that option to where you can have permanent death, so there's a consequence to failing, which is really nice, that give the option for new players and returning veterans. But just thinking out your moves like a chess game almost, a game of chess. You know, I don't know if you really play chess, but if you play like a good game of chess, it's like super satisfying. It kind of engages you in a different way than some other games might.
Yeah, I'm terrible at chess.
Oh, really? I like chess as well.
I'm more of a checkers type of guy.
Checkers is fun too, you know, but I'm more of a chess guy. So like thinking about what I'm going to do a few turns ahead of like the next person is super fun for me. And like the story in this game, incredible. I've done 2 out of the 4 routes that you can do in the game. I've done the Golden Deer one for anyone that knows the game, and the one where you side with Edelgard. So, but yeah, being able to go into the game, do one of the routes, and then immediately after like 60 hours of playing, wanting to do another route, just speaks volume to how much fun I had with this game. And the characters, it's a lot like Persona. It's not, you don't have the dating sim aspect, but you have like the relationship builder where you can like get to know the characters more personally and less through the main story, but more side stuff. And I think that adds, fleshes out the characters really well. And that's another thing I love, is just getting to know all the characters. Because at first, you know, you think one thing about another character, but you go a different route and you think something completely different about them, which adds so much replay value. For me, the only thing I don't like about this is that it doesn't have multiplayer at all, which would be a nice addition, because a lot of Advance Wars had it, and I like it in Advance Wars.
Yeah, I can definitely see that game being popular with online multiplayer.
Yeah, no, it'd be a great addition to the next one. But I guess, from my understanding, I don't think Fire Emblem has ever had multiplayer. So
no, I don't know if it did or not.
Yeah, I don't think so. So it'd be interesting to see if they ever do it in the future. But yeah, that's pretty much all I gotta say about Fire Emblem. I absolutely love 3 Houses. Might be my second favorite Switch game, to be honest. Maybe third.
All right. So, continuing with my list, I have Donkey Kong Country Returns for the Wii.
I've beaten Tropical Freeze, but I haven't really played this one.
This one, I was probably the most excited for this because I'm a huge fan of the Donkey Kong franchise.
Oh, yeah.
As we discussed in the first episode.
Yeah.
So this, went back to basics. You just had Donkey and Diddy. You didn't have the Kremlings this time. You just had this, like, weird tiki thing. This, like, weird tiki masks. Stole your bananas. You can't let them do that. So you go through all these super creative levels. And I will say the difficulty spike in this was a little rough.
Is it the same with like Tropical Freeze? Because that was like that too, at least for me, because I'm not super familiar with the series.
World 1 was okay. And then when you got to World 2, like, it just got hard.
But I think that's something that's almost a necessity with these kind of games, like 2D
Yeah.
platformers in general.
And especially Donkey Kong 2D platformers, other than Jungle Beat, every game has a learning curve that is a little steep.
Yeah, no, but honestly, that's what keep me engaged in these kind of games. Because,
Yeah.
like, I like Kirby a lot. Didn't really like Star Allies because, like, I just didn't feel... Even for Kirby, it was too easy, you know? And when a game's too easy like that, it's just not fun.
And it wasn't, like, unfair. And that's what I really like about it. It was hard, but it was fair.
Oh, yeah, that's one of the hardest things for a game to do, to give you that feeling of difficulty, but also fairness, where not like, this is some BS kind of thing, you know?
Yeah.
So I could definitely see putting that on there for that. And I did enjoy Tropical Freeze a lot, but I'm just not as big as a Donkey Kong fan as you, I don't think. So that's why it's not on my list. But I could definitely see why you put yours there, for sure. But moving on to my next one, Rocket League for, I guess, PS4 is what I played on the most.
It's on everything.
Yeah, it's on everything
Play it on
now.
phones now.
Yeah, I feel like I play it on my bread box. But yeah, no, Rocket League, it's the same deal with Call of Duty almost. Like high school, playing online with friends, just having a great time. I do enjoy the gameplay in Rocket League a little bit more, and I still play Rocket League sometimes today. Not as much as I used to. But it's just so much fun hitting the ball around. It had a really steep learning curve where at the beginning when the game was first free on PS Plus is when it got big. Nobody was good at the game in comparison to what they are now, where it's like nobody knew how to fly with their boost and stuff, where you can get the boost and like fly up and use it to hit the ball far harder and like different angles and stuff. Nobody knew how to do that stuff.
Yeah.
But as the game progressed, so did a lot of the player base. And so did I. At least I used to be good at the game. I'm not good at the game anymore. I can tell you that right now.
Yeah. I don't have any input on this. I never played Rocket League. I have it, downloaded on my Xbox One.
Yeah.
But I never played it. I just didn't really have any interest. Although I definitely, it's a arcade style, just I don't even know how to describe it. It's a unique game, and I can definitely see that people get attracted to the weird uniqueness of it.
Oh yeah, playing like mixing the most popular sport in the world, soccer, with cars seems like a really fun idea, and it turns out really fun, and just it's like a hype machine almost.
Yeah.
With some of the crazy goals you can get. It's real fun.
So moving on, the next game on my list is Borderlands 2. So, with Borderlands, the original one, I've only played that one for about 30 minutes, and I despised it. So, picking up Borderlands 2, I kind of felt, like I was kind of backing away from it a little bit.
Yeah.
But I got Borderlands 2 on Steam. So did, like, my brother and my dad, and we all played it together. And that seems to be the best way to play it.
Yeah, it seems like one of those games where you need people.
It's definitely designed for multiple people to be playing. So I spent probably about 30 hours playing, like all three of us playing through the game. And because of that, I will say that it's one of my favorite games I have on Steam.
Oh, yeah. Go ahead.
If I had to play it by myself, I would probably hate it.
Yeah, no, I know. I'm not super experienced with Borderlands series, but it's one of my brother's all-time favorite series, for sure. He adores those games. He loves it. He's played through all of them a ton. Even the new one, 3, he's super into that as well. And I've played Borderlands 2 more so than any of the games in the series with him and a couple friends here and there. I never beat it, but it is really fun to get into battles and be like, oh, get this guy here, just kind of coordinate with your teammates and like who's doing what and like trying to take all the loot and all that stuff.
I also like all the characters and stuff in it.
Yeah, the writing is funny. It is super funny. It's like Saturday morning cartoon funny.
Yeah,
for sure. But yeah, if that's all you got to say about that one, I can go into my next one.
Yeah, sure.
Mine would be Stardew Valley. Now, I don't think you ever played this one, you said?
No, I never played this at all.
It's a lot like the Harvest Moon games, if you're familiar with that at all.
I know of them. I never played those either.
Yeah, and a little bit of Animal Crossing in there, but more so Harvest Moon than anything, where you're just kind of the story of the game, you are working a corporate job, you get tired of that, your grandpa passes away, he leaves you a farm, so you go and take it over. And then from there, just the constant loop of talking with the villagers, farming, gathering materials from the mine, kind of upgrading. You're progressively upgrading to the point where things are becoming more efficient. So your crops are yielding faster. Your items are in like the mines, you're mining faster. Your friendship levels with the villagers and stuff are better, so you can have access to like better stuff in the stores and things like that. Just that constant loop of things are getting better and better. I'm making more and more money just continuously. It's like going in on itself kind of thing. And I like to honorable mention to Game Tycoon, because it's almost like that, where it's like you're constantly like I said, getting more money to put into building more money. Like, it's super addictive, you know what I mean? And for me, I could play that game for like 10 hours and just have a blast. And it's one of those games where you play it for a bunch of hours and it feels like you've been playing for 5 minutes kind of thing, you know?
Yeah.
But yeah, I love Stardew Valley. It's one of my favorite indie games ever made.
Cool. All right. I'm going to go into my next game that I have here. The next game on my list is The Elder Scrolls V, otherwise known as Skyrim.
This is my roommate's favorite game of all time, actually.
This game is just amazing. There's so much that they jammed into this game that it's still crazy to even think about. Although my experience with Skyrim is a sad tale.
Oh, boy.
So I played it on the Xbox 360 back in the day. And I had like 20 some hours into the game, and we had a bad storm. Lightning struck our house. No, it didn't strike. It struck the light pole that we had in front of our house.
Okay.
Which sent lightning into our house through the power cords, like the power cables.
Yeah.
And it split the router that we had completely in half, and then anything that router was attached to got broken. One of those things was my Xbox.
Wow, that's rough.
Yeah, it actually like burned the Xbox, like burned the inside of it. So we had to get a new Xbox, and it was covered under the insurance, but the Xbox that we got was the new redesigned version.
Okay, the slim one.
Yeah, but the version that I had was the old one with the big hard drive that you put on the side.
Yeah.
And the redesign did not have a slot for that hard drive.
See, now, retroactively, you might hate me for telling you this, but there was a way you could have done it.
I know there's a way.
Yeah.
To get your old files back.
No. Like, literally, you unscrew everything and take the actual hard drive part out of the shell, and you could plop it right into the new Xbox.
Really?
I did that, yeah.
Huh.
Yeah, I did that because I wanted to do that or save my files as easily as possible, and that's what I did. I unscrewed all the things and just stuck it right in there.
Wow. See, back then I had dial-up, so I couldn't necessarily look this stuff up.
Oh, yeah, it's a lot harder, for sure.
Yeah. If I would have known that, I would have definitely done that. And I know there's a way that you can take those old hard drives and get the files off it on a computer.
Oh, really? I didn't know that.
My brother figured out how to do that, but it was a little too late.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, I have it on Steam. I have the special edition.
Yeah.
But I just don't want to go back, take all that time again.
Yeah, no, I could definitely understand that, where everyone's lost a save file of a game that's really long here and there.
Yeah.
So it's always really disheartening to be playing a game for, like you said, 20 hours, 40 hours, whatever it is, and you're like, even if you're not that close to the end, but if you're even close to the end, it hurts even worse, where it's like, oh, I gotta start all the way over, and it makes you just drop a game like that. I feel like that's most people where that happens, and they're just like, all right, well, I'm moving on to something else. That happened with me with Dragon Quest VIII, actually. I was grinding, and I got up to this area where you actually could grind, and I had my 3DS in sleep mode, and because I had the 3DS one.
Yeah.
And I just kept doing that instead of saving and put it on the charger when I'm done, that kind of thing. And then I ended up freezing the game.
Oh, no.
So I had to hard reset my console.
No.
And it's the point where I loaded up the most recent save I had, and I lost about 10 levels and a character. So I was just like, I'm putting that down for now. So yeah, I feel your pain.
Well, now that you heard our sad tales, Chris, you want to talk about your next one?
For sure. My next one is Ratchet and Clank, the remake for PS4.
Yeah.
Now, this is a really fun 3D platformer. I'd even argue that it is a remake of the first one, but it's almost not in how much they added and changed and all that stuff.
Yeah, definitely.
Same world, but the levels feel so much different. And I actually can say that and attest to that because I wasn't really familiar with the series up until I played this one. And then I got the trilogy on PS3, played through the first one almost right after I beat this one. And it feels completely different, but in a good way.
Yeah, and even though they have the same characters, they are different, you know? Because in the first game, you know, they didn't necessarily have them completely figured out.
Yeah.
But after all these years, you know, they kind of perfected the characters.
Oh, yeah, and super established with, like, their personalities and stuff.
Yeah.
And upgrading your weapons in this game, it's super duper fun to do. The only thing that's annoying about the upgrade system in this game, and it's kind of a me thing, like 110%, it's a me thing and not the game's fault, is that if I max out a weapon, I don't want to use it anymore because I have other weapons I could be leveling up.
Okay. I can get that, but if I have a max weapon, I'm using it.
Yeah, no, it's not that I won't use it, but usually I would save it for bosses and stuff like that because you don't really get levels from bosses if I remember correctly.
Yeah.
But if I was facing any normal enemies or going out through the normal level, I was just like, I'm gonna not use that anymore. So it's like a my fault thing, and I feel like New Game Plus would probably fix that because I know this game has one.
Yeah.
But you know, other than that, that's like my only issue. The graphics probably some of the best on the PS4.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
It looks like the movie that came out with.
Yeah, it looks like Pixar basically.
Yeah.
And you know, the gameplay is super fun with some of the unique weapons like the Sheepinator and the one that makes them dance to disco and then die.
Yeah, those are some classic ones. I don't know if they were in the original game.
Yeah, I don't remember actually.
They definitely had ones like that in like the following games.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know if they added those because people liked them so much, or if they were just in the original game.
Either way, super fun to use in this remake. And if you haven't played it yet, it's like $10, so definitely get on that if you have a PS4. But yeah, let's go into your next game.
All right, so my next game, it's not necessarily a game. Well, it is, but it's a game maker. It's called Super Mario Maker 2 on Switch.
This one came real close to getting on the both lists.
Yeah.
Because I like it a lot too.
Yeah, it's a game where you make levels, Mario levels. It's definitely better than the first one.
Mm-hmm.
There's like it has a lot of the stuff from the first game, and they added so much more. They even added a new game style, Super Mario 3D World, which I am very happy with.
Yeah, it's super fun to play that one. And I've played a little bit of the original, but not nearly as much as the second one. And they actually recently released an update where you can play as Link from Zelda, which is super fun.
It's so cool.
Yeah.
Now we can make Zelda games in Mario Maker.
Yeah, no.
What weird timeline is this?
Yeah, I know. It's super fun. And it is super addictive to like play online levels. I'm not really much of a maker myself. I like playing the online stuff.
Yeah.
And I feel like the way they filtered out the levels was a lot better in this one because I played a lot more good levels than bad levels.
Same.
In comparison to the first one.
And if I make levels, I actually try to make normal Mario levels.
Mm-hmm.
I know people try to make like Kaizo levels and stuff like that.
Yeah, which that means super hard.
Yeah.
Yeah. Kind of almost impossible unless you're a god at the game.
Yeah, I don't like those levels. I try to make normal levels that could be in the actual games.
Mm-hmm. And I will say that even though the biggest focus of this game is the making and playing of online levels and like user created stuff, the levels that came with the game are actually really fun.
Oh yeah, and They did fix the mechanics of the older Mario games to make them feel, better and like more defined.
Yeah.
Or refined, excuse me.
And taking games that are as big classics as those and making it feel better is definitely something very commendable, for sure. Because you could really make some people mad if you change it up too much. So definitely a risk worth taking there for Nintendo. But yeah, I'll move into my next game actually, because it actually goes kind of well with your last game, and mine is Sonic Mania. So it's kind of that same retro style for most of the game. 2D platformer, going back to its roots. But instead of making levels, you're just playing basically a fan-made game for Sonic.
It technically is. The guy that made it has a history of fan mods for Sonic and stuff like that.
Which is really cool because he's done that so much and people like his stuff a lot, where Sega actually hired him to make an actual Sega licensed game.
Yeah.
Which is awesome.
He actually made the phone version of Sonic 1 and 2.
Yeah,
completely in HD.
Yeah, and I heard that those versions are the best versions of the game.
Yeah.
By far.
They are.
Which is a shame. They should really port those to consoles, but I digress. Sonic Mania's level design, taking some of the old levels and just making it all new. Basically, how the game works, because I know you've played this a little bit too.
Yeah.
But
I actually beat it.
Yeah, no. But how the game works is that, the first act is kind of a lot like the original game, and the second act adds all the new elements from Mania and makes you see the levels and from the old Sonic games in a whole new way, which is what I absolutely love about this game. And the music, the remixes and just the original music, incredible. Some of the best Sonic music out there, and Sonic is known for having good music. And say what you will about the new or the remixing of the old stuff, but the new stuff, the new levels, that's where this game really shines, to me at least. Studio Opulus, probably my favorite level, where you're in a TV studio.
Yeah, one's a good one.
It's so fun to go through and just see what they came up with and kind of the different backgrounds and stuff. And this game is beautiful. They put a lot of effort into it.
The sprite work is really good.
And it's super fun to be able to play a Sonic game that plays just like the Genesis ones today and do that easily.
Yeah.
It is so fun to go back. And I love 2D Sonic and some of the 3D ones, but just being able to go back and play Mania and it feeling like the old ones, but also feeling new and fresh and better. Absolutely love it.
Right. Now, speaking of taking something old and making it new, the next game on my list is Tomb Raider. The reboot of the series came out in 2013. I love it. They basically took what was good about Uncharted and slapped Lara Croft in there, and then bam, Tomb Raider. And that's not a criticism. That's actually a good thing, because Uncharted is really good when it comes to the climbing aspect, the getting around the world. It feels really good. So taking that and put it with the Tomb Raider aspect, where you go around to all these ancient lost areas and try to find all these relics of the past, I guess, and then mix that with a more modern story, you get a good game right there.
Oh yeah, I really like the Tomb Raider reboot. It is super fun. And like you said, it does play a lot like Uncharted, but it feels like its own thing still.
Yeah. They definitely took a lot of ideas from Uncharted. Especially with the first game, the one on my list. It's more Uncharted than the other ones.
Yeah.
But I feel like this one, I don't know, might be a little controversial, but I like this more than the Uncharted games.
Really?
Just a little bit.
I can see why. It's definitely, with the Uncharted games, it's a lot more on the story, and you're just getting through it, like the missions almost. But with Tomb Raider, it's more so exploring in a world.
And the set pieces are amazing also.
Yeah, I agree with that. It is super fun. And I could see why someone would like Tomb Raider more. But I gotta say, I do like Uncharted a little bit more, and that's why Uncharted 3 is the next one on my list. Uncharted 3, I really like all the Uncharted games. And 2 would probably be above 3 in my overall list, but that did not come out this decade.
I would have put that on my list too.
Yeah, it came out in like 2009, I think. So unfortunately, misses the mark just a little bit. But Uncharted 3, still amazing. I do prefer it over Uncharted 4. Just the main reason was not because of the gameplay or anything like that, or the graphics, because obviously Uncharted 4 probably is the best looking game on PS4.
Yeah,
it's
definitely
very, very good looking. If not the best, then top 5.
It was the best at one point, I would say.
For sure. But yeah, regardless of that, I think the story in Uncharted 4 is actually pretty weak in comparison to the other ones. Not that Uncharted is known for its story, but I do like the characters and stuff. But Uncharted 4 made me not like Nathan Drake that much. He was kind of a wiener in that one, you know? Kind of just not cool. But Uncharted 3, it was basically almost like a big add-on to Uncharted 2 in a way.
And I liked in Uncharted 3 where you get to play as young Nathan Drake.
Mm-hmm.
That was a lot of fun. And apparently that's what they're going to be making the Uncharted movie off of.
That's interesting. I wonder
why Tom Holland's playing Nathan Drake.
Yeah, that's kind of weird that they're doing that and not basing it off the games, but we'll see how it turns out, I guess. They know what they're doing more than I do. But yeah, Uncharted 3, just like 2 and 4, the set pieces are really good as well.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
And, you know, the chase scenes and all that stuff. And flying out from, like, that one mission where you're on the plane and you fall out and then you're in the middle of the desert.
Yeah.
And out of nowhere. That's one of my favorite sequences in, like, any game, really. Yeah. Where you're just exploring the desert and you're, like, super lost. What do I do kind of thing. I really do enjoy that part. And the characters, their interactions with Sully and Nathan Drake, always great banter. And the gameplay is fun, third-person action. You know, it's a little bit generic, cookie cutter almost, kind of what you would expect maybe a computer to make if you said make a third-person action game, and that would what the gameplay would feel like. But I think that the world and the story kind of carries it a little bit.
Just because something's cookie cutter too doesn't necessarily mean it's bad.
Yeah, that's true. I do enjoy it. It just feels a little bit generic almost.
Yeah.
You know, and that's why it's not going to be on our top 10 games of the decade. Spoilers. But yeah, you want to go into your last one?
All right, my last game. It's a little different than all these other ones. It's called Detroit Become Human.
Mm-hmm.
It's made by the same guys that made Heavy Rain and Beyond Two Souls with Ellen Page.
Okay.
So this game, it's more of like an interactive story. So you basically watch a movie and you press buttons to make them do certain actions. Like, for example, you're walking around and you see a prompt, do dishes. You press a button, you do the dishes, you know, that type of stuff. And then you just go through the story, you make these decisions for all these characters. In this game, you play as androids who are made to just be like servants for people. And then they start to gain a conscience. And then, you know how that might play out.
Not well.
So basically you play through their struggle, and they look just like humans too. So one of the characters poses as a human to take a little girl to safety, away from bad people.
Yeah.
So, and it's a very compelling story, I would say.
Yeah, and this is one of those kind of games where it kind of lives or dies off its story.
Yeah.
If I'm not mistaken. I've never played any of those games, but if I was going to, I probably would play this one.
Yeah, this one's the most recent one, so they definitely had time to polish them. Because Heavy Rain wasn't super polished, but it was still pretty good.
Yeah. Yeah, I've never really played the interactive movie, I guess, kind of genre, is what you might consider this. At least some people would say that. But it's something I'm interested in, and if I could try it out for cheap enough, I would. It's just, I don't have a lot of input because I never really played it. I have seen some things, like videos on the game, and it does seem something like I might be interested in it, but I just haven't given it a chance yet,
Yeah.
If that's all you got to say about that one.
Yeah, pretty much.
I can go into my last one.
All right.
My last one being Monster Hunter 3 Ultimate for the 3DS. Now, why this over any other Monster Hunter game? For me, this is the only Monster Hunter game I've really sunk the time into enough to say that I really got into it, because Monster Hunter is the type of series where if you're not putting 100 hours plus in the game, you're not playing it right.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And this is the only one that I ever did with that. So, me and my best friend from high school, or at least one of my best friends from high school, he got me into this game because he liked the Wii one so much, and he wanted someone to play with. So I'm like, okay, yeah, I'll try it out. If you say it's so good. Like not every weekend, but anytime we play this on the weekends or something, or maybe during a lunch period in school, just play it a ton. Played it during school when we had free time, like I said, and then if we were playing this on the weekends, we were playing 5-6 hours sessions, like stupid stuff.
Dang.
Yeah, because it's so addictive to kill a monster and kind of like master the patterns and stuff.
Yeah.
And get to the point where you're super proficient at defeating all of the gigantic monsters in the game that used to be super imposing. And also you have to keep beating the same ones to get the full armor set of a certain monster, which gives you a bunch of bonuses, so you really want to do that.
Now, I've never played Monster Hunter.
Mm-hmm.
I always wanted to. But this game kind of, got away from me somehow.
Yeah, it's probably, out of all the games I've ever played, it probably was the hardest game for me to get into. And for anyone interested in playing, I would recommend playing with someone who's already a fan of the series and knows what they're doing. Because if I didn't have that, because it was like 10 hours of tutorial kind of thing.
That's a little too much.
See, and there's no tutorial in the game per se. There is, but there's not much. But the real tutorial is learning how to play the game from someone
how to not die.
Yeah, learning how to get good at the game from someone who knows what they're doing. Because the game doesn't really present you with that much tutorial stuff, except for maybe the first half an hour or hour. But being able to learn how to play and be proficient takes time, and is something that the game can't really teach you. You either need a really good online guide or someone who knows what they're doing. So that's kind of a negative to the game, is that it's super, super tough learning curve. But once you really get into it and get into that gameplay loop, it's one of the most addicting games I've ever played.
Yeah.
For sure.
Is that everything you have to say about it?
Yes, sir.
All right. So now we have finished both of our lists.
Of our individual games.
We have a list here, though, where we both agreed that they are some of the best of the decade. The first one is Super Mario Odyssey on the Switch.
Best Mario game ever made.
Yeah. That,
for sure.
I mean, I love all of the main 3D Mario games, but I think I played this one more than any.
Yeah, and that's saying something because it came out 2 years ago. And the other ones came out like a decade ago. So that is really saying something. And like the level design, kind of like what we said with Rayman, so good. So much to do in each world. And I just love being able to find all the new moons, all the purple coins.
Yeah.
That kind of stuff.
Yeah, although you could kind of cheat it after you beat the game and just buy the moons.
Yeah, but there's no
who
fun
wants
in
to
that.
do that?
Yeah, that's not fun. And getting 500 moons and doing the, is it the darker side of the moon? Is that what it's called? Or the darkest side or something?
The darkest side, yeah.
The darkest side of the moon. So difficult. I haven't even beaten that part yet.
I've beaten it, but it took a while.
Yeah, it's like a 20-minute gauntlet.
Yeah.
Of just hell.
It's hard. That's the thing with Mario games nowadays, that they have a really hard final level.
But yeah, the rest of the game isn't too bad.
Yeah.
I'd say that this one's probably harder than some of the other ones. Maybe not Sunshine,
Mario
but
3D World had the hardest final level.
I actually beat that one.
Really? I could not beat that for the life of me.
Yeah, I can't beat the Mario Odyssey one though, so that's kind of funny. But yeah, and the kind of freedom of the 3D platformer that this game has, more so than any other 3D platformer, I think is what makes it so good. Because with your cap, you can kind of like almost, not sequence break isn't the right word, but it's almost like sequence breaking, to where you can get to places where you're almost not supposed to be. But instead of being places where you're not supposed to be, the developers actually reward you, and like, it's not big, but they give you like coins and stuff for going to like these areas.
Yeah.
And it shows you that they like thought about everything, and you're like,
yeah,
oh, they can do this, even though it's like super far away, super hard sequence of jumping and stuff like that. But it's like they can do this kind of thing, and I love that level of freedom in not even an open world game, but just a level based game too.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, moving on to our next game that we both agree on, Super Smash Bros. Ultimate.
I've loved Smash ever since Melee.
Yeah.
I played Melee. That was the first game I ever got for my GameCube, and I was hooked instantly. I was terrible back then, just nothing but C-sticking.
Yeah.
But I Smash is the only game that can actually get me super excited.
Yeah.
For just like the littlest things.
Oh,
I don't know why.
It's so hype. It is such a hype game.
Like back when Brawl was announced, I would look at the Smash Dojo website every day to see what they got new. Same with Smash on the Wii U and 3DS and especially Ultimate.
Yeah, exactly. When they announced everyone was here, I literally was screaming. Like, my roommates could attest to that back then. I was like, they were like, what's going on? I'm like, they just announced every character's coming back in the new Smash game. And then they got super excited too. So it was a fun time. But yeah, I think the Smash series as a whole is just pure hype incarnated in a video game.
Yeah.
Whether it be playing the game and getting a super really cool, like, awesome kill or a nice spike or a suicide that just wins you the game. And playing this with friends and like all that stuff and playing in tournaments. I've actually dabbled in tournament play with this game in Melee specifically. I don't know if you've ever done that before.
No,
but,
I haven't done anything super competitive with it, but
yeah, I've played some of the competitive stuff. I've actually had some winnings, but not like first place, but like second and third.
Oh,
so
nice.
I'm okay at the game, but being able to watch those tournaments in person or being able to actually do some of the stuff that I mentioned before, the whole room erupts, and it's just so much fun. No game, I think, do I have more fun playing multiplayer than Smash Ultimate, or just any Smash game, really. But Smash Ultimate is my favorite Smash game to this point, and that's saying quite a bit because I love all the other ones as well.
I think it's the best when it comes to the actual fighting. They perfected it. I believe they took the quick impactfulness of Melee and the I don't really want to call it floatiness, but like the looseness of Brawl.
Yeah, Brawl was kind of loose,
and they kind of just took best of both worlds and put them together, and that's what they got. It's pleasing for everyone.
Yeah, no, there's definitely something in there for everyone, and it's probably my favorite fighting game of all time, to be honest. But yeah, going into our next one that we both agree on, and actually is my favorite indie game of all time, that being Rogue Legacy.
Yeah, Rogue Legacy has a special place in my heart too.
Yeah, I remember summer of between senior year to freshman year in college, just platinuming this game, playing this game like the whole summer. It's very, very hard.
So when I was in high school, I was a senior. It was around March, so I got a call that my grandmother died, and the way I coped with that was playing this game.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I just played it nonstop for like a week.
And that's something really nice about games in general, is that they can really help you get through the hard parts in your life, for sure.
Like, it helped me just clear my mind of everything.
And that's something with this game that you can definitely do, because you need that like full attention and kind of, you just forget about everything else when you're playing it, because it is that difficult, especially the level curve and, like you said, with Donkey Kong, kind of learning how to play the game and going into the new areas, defeating all the bosses. And I don't know if you ever did the optional bosses, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Those were so darn difficult, but it was so rewarding when you actually got the hang of it and actually did it. So that's why I love this game.
Yeah.
It's probably one of the most rewarding games I've ever played.
Yeah.
For sure. But let's talk about another indie classic.
This one's my favorite indie game of all time.
What would that be, Nick?
It's Shovel Knight. So, I love this game so much, I bought it twice.
I bought it 3 times. So
gotta one up me, okay. But
I have a problem.
But just Shovel Knight in general, if we're just talking about Shovel Knight, it's a perfect love letter to people that like, 16 or 8-bit games.
Oh, I agree completely.
It has the difficulty of classic games like Castlevania,
Mega Man.
Yeah, Mega Man.
DuckTales.
I mean, they even had the composer for the old Mega Man games come in and do a few tracks, which is really cool.
And I think the best part about this game is that it combines the best part of those retro games and makes it new. You know what I mean? Different aspects from all of the retro games you loved playing back in the day. And makes it new, puts it in a nice looking like 8-bit engine where it looks like an NES game, but that some of the stuff in there you couldn't do on an NES.
Like the colors, like the NES couldn't handle some of those colors.
Yeah, exactly. But it felt authentic enough to where it was you still felt that super rush of nostalgia when you played it.
Yeah.
And I think the DLC that is free with the game. If you own it.
That's the best part. It's free.
The DLC where you play as the different knights and stuff adds a huge amount of replay value.
Oh yeah,
for sure.
And they're not just like little things; they're entire games.
Yeah, they're basically separate games, but within this one game.
Yeah,
which is super cool. You're going through the whole game again, and the level themes are the same, but the design of each level completely different.
Yeah,
which is fantastic.
2 new DLCs are coming out here soon.
Yeah,
King Knight and then the Showdown one, which is a little different. It's like a fighting game style.
Still looking forward to it for sure. But yeah, the level design.
But the fact that they're still making content, even though this game came out in 2012?
2012, 2013.
Yeah.
Something like that.
They're still making content for a game that came out that long ago shows how...
And it's free.
Yeah, and it's free. Shows how committed they are to making the best product for their fans.
Yeah, I really hope they make a Shovel Knight 2 in like the SNES style. That would be awesome.
That would be awesome. So, going on from Shovel Knight, we got another great game here, except this, it's not retro, it's more modern. It's Spider-Man for the PlayStation 4.
Great game.
Oh, yeah. If you ever played Spider-Man 2 back in the old days, you probably thought that swinging through New York felt amazing. So what they did, they took the swinging from that game, used that as the inspiration for the web swinging in this game, and then actually put New York City in the game.
Yeah.
It's like it's like actually New York City, not just, unnamed buildings.
Yeah, no, it's incredible what they were able to do with the world in this game. And this is probably the only open world game where the way you travel with the web swinging and all that stuff was so much fun that I almost 100% avoided the fast travel.
Yeah, same.
And they didn't make it too big. Like some open world games, they make them too big.
Yeah,
but
Witcher.
Yeah, yeah. But with this one, it's just the perfect size where you can just go from one point to another. Even like from one end of the map to the other, you can go and just have so much fun swinging.
Yeah.
And the combat's good too. It plays like the Batman games I hear. So
yeah. And there's also, a lot of side stuff to do. So when you're swinging from point to point, you can, go off over here and beat up some bad guys that are robbing a store.
Yeah, there's always something to do.
Yeah.
In this game, which is another great aspect of it.
Yeah. It definitely keeps you busy, but in a good way.
Yeah, the only low point in this game are the missions where you're not playing as Spider-Man. That's the only part of this game I don't really like.
They did come out with DLC for it. I don't know if you played those.
No, not yet.
But it's like a whole new game.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah. It comes in 3 episodes. So even though it's a full game, it's like split into 3.
Yeah.
And it's just as good as the main game.
I'll definitely have to think about picking those up then.
Yeah.
But yeah, Spider-Man PS4. Definitely give her a shot if you haven't already. Next up, we have Halo Reach. Now, this is probably my favorite first-person shooter game of all time.
Yeah, just came out on PC, actually.
Yeah, and re-released on Xbox One as well.
Yeah.
Super duper nostalgia. Pretty much everything I said about Call of Duty, but enhanced with this one.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
Hundreds of hours into it. I was a SWAT guy, so me and my friend only played SWAT pretty much.
SWAT was the jam back in the day.
For those of you who don't know, that's like basically headshots only.
Yeah.
Super duper fun mode, and just doing that and getting good at the game, getting good at the online. You know, me and my buddy, which my buddy was like 13th in the country back in the day. Yeah, he played this game a lot. I wasn't quite as good as him, but I was still really good. So I'd say like 9 times out of 10 we would win, and it was super fun to just go on there, and he'd get like 25 kills out of 50, and I'd get like 20, and then it'd be like a couple more for other people, and it felt like we were gods amongst men in that game.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Just that feeling. No other game has really gave me that kind of superiority complex, I guess.
Although
you can call it.
I didn't really play this online back in the day, but it was
Okay.
the most fun game to play locally.
Oh, it is fun locally as well.
Yeah, I had the most fun out of this one.
And the campaign wasn't bad either.
Although I would say Halo 3 is slightly better, but that came out before 2010, so it doesn't work.
Can't do it.
Yeah.
But I'd say Halo Reach is my favorite
Yeah.
FPS of all time. So, but Halo 3 is still good.
All right, so the next game we have on our list is Mortal Kombat 9, or just Mortal Kombat, whatever boats your float. This was released on Xbox 360 and PS3. The only difference is that the PS3 version had Kratos from God of War in it,
Which is
was
awesome.
annoying because
And
I had
awesome.
it on Xbox.
I had it on PS3, actually.
Yeah,
and
I was-
being able to
I
play
was
as
upset.
Kratos. Did Xbox 360 have an exclusive character?
No,
No?
the only time I got to play Kratos is when I went to a friend's house who had him, and I was awful with him, so I was kind of okay with it.
Yeah, well, he fit into the game, though. Seeing the fatalities with Kratos was real fun.
So this was the first official Mortal Kombat game in the new generation.
Yeah, at
Um,
least the first good one.
Well, Mortal Kombat versus DC Universe, I actually liked it a lot, but it wasn't a Mortal Kombat game.
Yeah, because there's no fatalities.
Yeah, well there are, but they're
Not real.
yeah, they're
They're T-rated.
Yeah.
Mortal Kombat is not T-rated.
so even though that was fun, everyone has a bloodlust.
Oh, yeah.
In one way or another.
One way or another.
So this was the first game to go back to the basics, 2D fighting, no more 3D movement. Just super over the top violence. And the fatalities were creative.
Yeah.
also.
And me and my friend really got into this game to the point where we would play each other, and then, I'm generally better at fighting games than he is because I have a lot more experience playing them. So I'd usually beat him, but he'd get so mad after a certain point where he would just literally start fighting me in real life. So
Yeah.
that's always fun.
And this was also the first Mortal Kombat game to have a tag system too.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's a little different than Tekken Tag Tournament 2, because this one is kind of like the Marvel vs. Capcom games where you got to beat both people. But I feel like this game did it a little better than Marvel vs. Capcom,
Yeah.
because with those games, you can just call people and they'll do their super moves on you and stuff. It's kind of whatever.
Yeah, it's a little annoying.
But this, you actually have to strategize with this a little bit.
yeah.
And when your characters are back, they regain health, but super slow. So it's not anything special.
Yeah, it's probably not going to change the outcome.
Yeah. But I really like the tag system.
And the multiplayer, obviously, where it's at. Playing
Yeah.
with your friends, fighting against them.
Yeah.
But I did actually really enjoy the Crept, is what it was called?
The Crypt.
Crept, yeah. I really enjoyed that. I
Yeah.
thought unlocking everything was really fun thing to do, and some of the challenges were unique. Like
The
fighting
Challenge Tower.
yeah, like fighting with no arms and stuff.
Yeah, the Challenge Tower. Challenge 300 was the worst thing in the world. It was awful. I wanted to cry after playing it for
Yeah.
an hour and failing.
Yeah, no, it's super hard, but super fun, some of that single player stuff.
Yeah.
Which is what I think puts it over the top, really. Because most fighting games are just fun multiplayer, but this one has
Yeah.
good single player. And the story, it's like the only fighting game I ever played with a good story.
Yeah.
So,
The story was definitely really good. And the difficulty, the pacing of the difficulty was really good. Except when you fight the final boss, Shao Kahn, and he's impossible.
yeah, it took a few tries on that one,
Ah,
for sure. But let's go from the super bloody, violent Mortal Kombat to the super cheery, fun
Mario Kart 8!
oh yeah.
big tonal shift here.
Yeah. Mario Kart 8 Deluxe It's the best Mario Kart game of all time.
I'd argue maybe Double Dash, but I can see why you'd say that, and I might agree with you, but I just have to think about it for a while. You know, it's one of those things.
Like Double Dash, I have nostalgia for, but Mario Kart 8, when you just look at the gameplay mechanics of it, it's definitely the best in my opinion.
The controls are amazing.
Yeah,
And
the amount of
very
characters too.
Oh yeah, that too, and adding like new not third party, but non Mario characters like Link and Inkling, super
and
cool.
the villagers from Animal Crossing,
Yeah.
Isabelle.
Yeah, I'd say that the tracks are probably the best in any Mario Kart.
They have Big Blue and Mute City too from F-Zero.
I know, and Excite Bike.
Yeah.
Oh. Anytime you put online and there's a non-Mario Kart track, you know you're playing that one. People love them, and I love it too.
And back when the game was on the Wii U, it actually had the best online out of any game.
Yeah.
Like, the way that they handled lag, they did it in a way that you wouldn't really notice. You know, the only time you would notice if you threw like a red shell at someone and it floated behind them for a second.
Yeah.
That's the only way you could really tell. But other than that, everything was smooth.
And that's rare for Nintendo. That's for sure.
Yeah.
But yeah, Mario Kart, maybe even more so than Smash, if not on the same level as Smash at very least. Playing like with people.
I do know that Smash and Mario Kart 8 always get played whenever I have family over.
Oh yeah, and Mario Kart is probably the most accessible game ever made.
Yeah.
Anyone could play it. My aunt was playing it with me. My aunt would not play Smash Brothers with me, but my aunt was playing with me and like the cousins and stuff. You know, so it just showed you how accessible the game really is, and it is super duper fun and addictive. So I think it definitely deserves to be on the both of our lists, you know.
And we got one last game on this list, and it's another indie game, Undertale.
Amazing.
Yes.
No game like it.
Yes. It also has a terrible fan base.
Yeah, that's true. But so does Rick and Morty and so many other popular things.
Yeah.
So let it slide.
Every time I try to get someone to play it, they get turned off because of the fan base.
My roommate's the exact same way. It's annoying. I'm like, it's one of the best games ever made. And then he's like, I don't care. The fan base is weird and annoying. I'm like, that's fair, but come on, man. That doesn't mean the game's bad. You like Rick and Morty, don't you?
Yeah. And actually, do you know that this game started out as an Earthbound mod?
I didn't know it started out as one. I thought it was like something after that, but news to me.
Yeah.
Go on.
And it was all just made by one guy, Toby Fox.
Yeah, I knew
did
that
everything, even the music.
Yeah, which is something pretty amazing that a single guy could make a game that's so good.
Yeah, it's really difficult for one man to make a game like that.
Yeah, and the uniqueness of the game, like being encouraged to, as someone that plays RPGs a lot, like turn-based RPGs, going from I should kill every single monster in the game to maybe I shouldn't do that.
Yeah, let's just talk.
Yeah, let's just have a good time, you know? Let's spare some people. That was a big shift for me, trying to do that. And I absolutely loved it. Great take on the genre, for sure. Like, that by itself is enough, but the characters being so endearing, Papyrus is great.
And the writing of the characters too.
Yeah, and it's a funny game.
Everything's like really clever, and I really appreciate that.
Yeah, just all that stuff accumulative makes me really, really like this game for sure. Probably one of the top 3 indie games, right up there with Rogue Legacy and Shovel Knight.
It's probably my favorite turn-based RPG, although it's not
even more than Paper Mario. That's surprising.
Probably because the turn-based aspect of it, you're not really fighting, unless you really want to, but you're mainly finding ways to figure these creatures out,
Yeah, and I think that for people that haven't been spoiled yet, just figuring out how the game works is one of the best parts of it.
Yeah,
for sure. But that conducts both of our personal lists and then games that we both agree on. So before we started recording, we decided to compile the top 10 favorite games of the decade in no particular order, from all three of the list.
Yeah. So these are just 10 games that we believe are the best of the decade.
Yeah, it deserves to be considered the best for sure.
So
these are, again, no particular order.
So we got God of War from the PS4,
Fire Emblem Three Houses for the Switch,
Bloodborne,
Batman Arkham City,
Persona 5,
Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild,
The Elder Scrolls 5, Skyrim,
Shovel Knight,
Super Smash Bros. Ultimate.
and Mario Odyssey.
Yep, those are our favorite, collectively, our favorite games of the decade.
If you are into games and haven't played those 10 games, then what are you doing, man?
Yeah, you're missing out.
Give them a shot. But yeah, thanks a whole lot if you stick around this long to get to the end of the video or the recording.
Yeah,
really
I know.
Appreciate it.
I know it's like 20 times longer than normal episodes, but
Hey, it's the end of the decade. We got to take advantage of
Yeah.
it, you know? But unfortunately, this will be probably the last time that me and Nick record since we're done with our class. And, you know, this was a fun little class
yeah.
thing.
And I'm graduating, so
Yeah.
I
Even
won't
though it
be
was
around.
really fun thing to do,
Oh yeah.
for sure. Fun to work with you on this. And I had a good time. So, but it is kind of nice to be done with the class soon.
Oh,
So-
definitely.
But yeah, I hope you guys liked and enjoyed what we did here. I'm gonna try and keep it going on my own. Maybe get my roommate on in it, but we'll see
Yeah.
where that goes. You know,
Yeah.
for sure. But yeah, it was a pleasure working with you, Nick.
Oh yeah, Sam. Pleasure working with you too.
All right, guys, that was I'm Chris,
And I am Nick.
and thank you for listening to this special episode of the Best Games You Never Played podcast.
See you later.
That was a lot of game talking, I'll tell you what. So thank you if you got this far to the video. I really appreciate it. I hope you enjoyed what you listened to and sharing myself's and Nick's opinion with you guys. Unfortunately, you know, like I said at the end there, won't be doing any more podcasts with Nick, at least not in the foreseeable future. He was really good to work with. I enjoyed, we kind of like bounced off each other pretty well. If you want to see some other stuff that we did together, the other podcasts that we filmed are actually available on the channel as well. So definitely give those a look if you like the formatting and style. And if you guys want me to do more of the Best Games You Never Played podcast just by myself or with a different co-host, please let me know down below. And why not tell me your favorite games of this decade down in the comments below. I'm sure that there are plenty of games that we missed out on that we did not talk about that you really enjoyed, and I really want to get that engagement going and see what people kind of say. So definitely make sure to comment that down below. And again, I hope you had a good 2019, and I hope your 2020 is even better. I plan to do a lot more with this channel for this upcoming year. You can kind of tell it's been revving up a little bit at the end of the year here. I want to keep that energy going into 2020. So please keep on the lookout for new videos. If you enjoy what I do here, I would love to have you along for the ride. And no matter what, thank you for watching this video. And again, have a great new year and a happy life. I'll see you on the next episode.